Hi, everyone, and welcome to Murder and Merlot.
We are a true crime book club podcast.
I'm your host, Tara.
And I'm your host, Michelle.
We are putting down our books and picking up the paper.
Because this is the morning news.
The first morning news in Michelle's new location. I'm in the same place.
In my new house.
Michelle's in her new house.
And I'm so happy and I love it. And I hope I'm not too echoey. So this is like our trial episode. See if I need to...
We'll see how it goes.
Hang blankets around my room.
We're doing the best we can. But I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm not in the closet. I'm in my bedroom.
Wow.
Which is kind of awesome.
Yeah. So spacious. You could do activities. You could do all kinds of things.
Yeah, I could just like lounge on my bed and record the podcast.
That would be awesome. Oh, I want to try that. Just be comfy and just chill. Record.
I
that
thought
sounds
about
lovely.
I really did think about it, but I was like, where's my mic gonna go?
We need like a stand that will like sit above us, and then that would be perfect. Yeah.
Just like clip it onto my headboard or something.
Perfect.
Right?
I love that we were acting out that whole like mic situation. Like our hands are doing weird things. If only you could see.
It's fantastic.
It's great.
Yeah.
Today we have a couple true crime news updates, which is exciting.
Yeah, because a few things have been happening. So, remember like way back at the beginning of the pandemic when we met Joe Exotic and Tiger King and we talked about him and then we did our like mini episode on Doc Antle and
of course.
Whatever. Yeah, all those things. So we figured we'd just like throw a little update in because some stuff's happened. So Joe Exotic's former zoo is officially no more after the property was sold to the one and only Carol Baskins. And it was more like she received it as a settlement.
Right. In
her lawsuit. It wasn't really a sale. It was ongoing lawsuits against Joe Exotic and she got his property. That was back in 2020. And she has now sold the property with the condition that the land cannot be used for a zoo for 100 years. And so the last animals remaining at the zoo, which once had as many as 1,400 big cats, were turned over to the Justice Department in early August 2021. And I think from the Justice Department, they will then distribute them to different zoos and sanctuaries and places where they can live out their happy kitty lives and make sure they're all healthy and being cared for in the best possible way that captive tiger can live. So,
yes, exactly. Which is fantastic. I can't imagine having 1,400 big cats in one small space. That's concerning.
And like, I mean, and we talked about this before. We had so many issues with the condition of those cats. And so knowing that they're all going to have happy lives, even though they're behind cages and whatnot, and it's better. It's better for them.
It's better than it was. So that's all we can kind of ask for those critters.
Yes. And Joe Exotic is still like chilling out in prison.
I think he has cancer. So.
I was going to say, he's got cancer. And I mean, he was really trying to get a pardon from President Trump before he left office, but that never happened either.
That didn't happen. And he said it was because he was too gay. So then Trump wouldn't pardon him. He decided is the only possible reason why he didn't get a pardon is because he's too gay.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Joe.
I think there was probably more to it than that, but
maybe a bit. Maybe like
whatever.
A whole bunch of video evidence of you just being the most insane person.
Right? Like, how about you just stay where you are? Just live out your days, quietly. Man.
I don't think that's possible for him, though. He can't just sit and be quiet.
No, I don't think so.
It's not in his blood. But yeah, so that's interesting. It's always fun to see their names pop up in news headlines.
And it was like right away. I was like, oh, yeah, Carol Baskins is up to something. Okay, let's go check it out. Because it's like basically like the Bachelor of the true crime world is the Joe Exotic story.
Right. I'm still not tired of it after all of this. It's still entertaining to me.
I know. Ridiculous. Cracks me up.
I have an update from our morning news episode number 16 in regards to the Atlanta spa shootings that happened in March of 2021. And so I covered this story in episode 50, where Robert Aaron Long was accused of murdering 8 victims in 3 separate spa and massage businesses in and around Atlanta, Georgia. It was a very, very sad case, and I'm really glad that we finally have an update on it. Since then, Long has pleaded guilty to 4 of the killings, but he faces more charges and a possible death sentence in the other 4 murders. Because the shootings took place in 2 separate districts, it sounds like there's going to be 2 separate trials.
Oh, interesting.
I was not expecting that.
No.
For the Atlanta killings, Long faces charges including murder, aggravated assault, and domestic terrorism. District Attorney Fannie Willis is seeking the death penalty as well as a sentencing enhancement under Georgia's new hate crime law. Georgia's hate crime laws does not provide for a standalone hate crime. A person must first be convicted of a crime, and then a jury must determine whether it was motivated by bias, which then carries an additional penalty.
Wow, that's awesome, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I wanted to put that in there. And as we already know, all of the Atlanta victims were women of Asian descent, and Willis said she believes the killings were motivated by bias based on the gender and the race of the victims. Long's attorney had reached out about the possibility of a plea deal, but Willis still plans on seeking the death penalty. In the case of the other 4 killings that took place in the Cherokee County, District Attorney Shannon Wallace has agreed to a plea deal in the interest of swift justice and avoiding lengthy appeals. Long pleaded guilty to charges including 4 counts of murder and received 4 sentences of life without parole, plus an additional 35 years. Wallace said that if the case had gone to trial, she was prepared to seek the death penalty and would have argued that Long was motivated by gender bias. But she said during the hearing, the investigators found no evidence of racial bias in the killings there. She noted the diversity of the victims and said Long walked through young Asians' massage, quote, shooting anyone and everyone he saw, end quote. Which, I'm not sure if I agree with that one.
No, but maybe she knows something more than we don't, so.
Yeah, I mean, he went to 3 separate establishments that were all owned and operated by Asian women. And yes, 2 of the victims were Caucasian, but one was a customer and the other was a handyman working in the building. He shot them because they were there. He was in a frenzy. Why would he leave them to 1, perhaps try to stop him, or 2, later identify him? Like, I don't think you'd be very selective in a situation like that, even if it was racially motivated.
Yeah, no, I'm going to leave the white dude alive. I mean, that's going to make it really obvious that I'm racially motivated, right?
Exactly. You're just going to go in there, shoot up the place, and be done with it. But anyway,
interesting.
Regardless, he got a pretty good sentence out of the situation anyways, so
no matter what, he's in jail for a minimum of 35 years.
Exactly. He'll be locked up for the rest of his life, so 100%. That's fantastic. I like that because that guy sucks.
A lot, yeah.
And then my other update is about the remains found at residential schools. So over the past few months, we've been discussing the unfolding situation of remains of mostly Indigenous children found across Canada at former residential schools, as well as some similar institutes in the United States. Our last update from July 1st, there was 1,323 found graves. Now we are seeing numbers upwards of 6,509 across North America.
Ugh.
The problem, though, is that for some reason, it's been very difficult to find the official count and the breakdown of where this number is coming from. So that's kind of concerning that things are already getting really quiet after the, initial big shock of everything and let's talk about this. And now it's like the only places that I can see that information coming from is social media sites that are trying to keep it relevant. But everywhere else in the news, it's just, there hasn't been any true updates.
It's been really, really frustrating because I want to know more. I want to know, I want to have those children be known. I want them to have justice and I want their communities to start to heal. But if people are already not talking about it and we're struggling to find accurate information about it, that's not helping anybody.
Right. The whole point of it is to bring everything to light and be transparent about what happened, but already it's kind of getting swept under the rug.
Here's the rug. We're just going to sweep under there. Yeah.
But if you didn't know, September 30th which was Orange Shirt Day, has now officially been made the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. So that's good, at least. The day has been created to give everyone an opportunity to recognize and commemorate the legacy of the residential schools. I feel like that's fantastic. They get their own day. We can recognize it, and everybody should recognize it. But at the same time, it kind of seems like, let's not talk about what's actually being discovered and actual numbers, but here, have a day. So then it makes it look like we're still doing lots. I don't know. That's just kind of how I felt about it when I tried to dive into everything today, and I couldn't find anything, but they're like, hey, but it's okay because
we gave you a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's a day that I think is appropriate, and I think people should actually take it serious and actually try to use that day for what it's meant for, not like a lot of the statutory holidays that we have, and everybody's like, I don't actually know why we have this day off. I'm just happy not to work.
Like today is actually Labor Day. And why do we have this day off work? I mean, there's always a good football game on today, but whatever.
Right? For barbecues is what I think most people think.
Yeah.
But anyways, in regards to September 30th, it's a stat holiday for federal regulated employees. However, private companies, the holiday is optional, just in case.
See there.
Yeah.
I find that frustrating.
Yes.
If you're going to make a statutory holiday, make it a statutory holiday across the board.
Right.
And I know that I can't remember the number, but I know that there's a certain amount of schools or school boards that are like, okay, we're going to take the day. And that's great. But it's only like 16 or something school boards across Alberta.
Right.
Or Canada or something. Canada. Yeah.
And
that's crap. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, my kids are going to be wearing orange shirts on Orange Shirt Day, and I'm going to wear an orange shirt and whatever. But I mean, it should be no different than Remembrance Day, right? We should have ceremonies and we should be talking about them. And like, I don't know.
The fact that it's optional makes it feel less important.
Exactly. I feel like it needs to be more important than they're making it out to be.
Yes. Yeah. Because it does seem like a lot of privately owned companies and businesses, it doesn't sound like they're going to be closing. But I guess if you are in a situation, like if you are working in a place that isn't going to be closing, then Orange Shirt Day, wear an orange shirt and talk about it. That's
and if somebody asks you about your orange shirt and you be like, I'm wearing this because it's the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's all I have for true crime news updates.
Yeah, me too. Good ones. All right, friends, grab your glass and get cozy. Let's talk about murder. Tink, tink. All right, so I get to go first today. And I was a little worried that you were going to steal this article because it's pretty interesting.
I'm intrigued.
And when Tara and I went to open our document today, we realized that at the exact same time, we must have created a document because she was working on hers and I was working on mine. And then when I opened it up tonight to get everything set up, I was like, there's nothing written here. Like, is Tara coming? Like, what's happening? And she opened hers and mine looked the same. She's like, oh my God, did something happen? Like,
I feel like she would let me know if something happened and we weren't recording tonight. So we both had a panic. It's fine.
It's fine. And we also both, like, our first, like, number one true crime update was about Joe Exotic. So that's funny. But
we're still on the same page.
I was a little stressed. I was like, oh God, Tara's going to pick my article and then I'm not going to have anything.
But it's fine.
Anxiety is fun, guys. Just ride it out. It's good.
Good times.
Yeah. So the title of my article is Man Killed in Plane Crash Identified as Serial Killer Who Murdered 3 Florida Women and Possibly Others.
Cool.
I know, right? This is why I totally thought you would have picked it.
I haven't seen anything about this, so
what? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
The author is Gina Tron, and my source is oxygen.com. All right. So investigators say DNA from Brazilian national Roberto Wagner Fernandez's grave matches the crime scenes of murder victims Kimberly Dietz Livesi, Saya Damas, and Jessica Good. Law enforcement in Florida this week identified a man who died in a 2005 plane crash as the suspected serial killer responsible for brutally killing 3 women in South Florida at the turn of the millennium. The Broward Sheriff's Office announced Tuesday that Brazilian national Roberto Wagner Fernandes is responsible for the murders of Kimberly Dietz, Levessi, Saya Damas, and Jessica Good. The 3 women were killed within a 14-month period in 2000 and 2001. The department stated in a press release that Dietz Levessi's body was discovered inside a suitcase along a roadway in Cooper City in June of 2000. Several weeks later, Damas's remains were found stuffed in a duffel bag near Denia Beach. And in August of 2001, Good's remains were found floating in Miami's Biscayne Bay. The 3 cases shared similar fact patterns, and as detectives from BSO and Miami police worked together, clues began to emerge. The DNA evidence collected from all 3 crimes pointed to one as yet unknown culprit. Also, fingerprints from the evidence collected at 2 crime scenes were a match. But the identity of the killer remained a mystery. But soon, suspicion fell on Fernandes, a Brazilian citizen who lived in Miami in the late 1990s. Investigators say he returned to Brazil after Good's killing. In 2011, fingerprints taken from Fernandes following his wife's death matched the fingerprints from the crime scenes. Broward Sheriff's Office Detective Zach Scott said that Fernandes was accused of killing his wife in Brazil in 1996, but he was acquitted. He was also a suspect in several investigations in Brazil as well. Investigators traveled to Brazil in 2011, hoping to talk to Fernandes, only to learn that he possibly died in a plane crash there in 2005 while headed to Paraguay. As Broward County investigators noted during Tuesday's press conference, they did not trust that he died in the plane crash. Great, right?
Right.
Detectives thought he might have faked his own death and wanted to exhume Fernandez's body to determine if he truly was dead. It took nearly a decade, but officials have finally confirmed that he is in fact dead and the killer. Fernandez's grave was opened during late 2020 and early 2021, and his remains were found inside. Investigators were able to link his DNA profile to the suspect profile collected from the crime scenes of Dietz, Levessi, Damas, and Good. Quote, knowing his last minutes on Earth were probably full of terror makes me feel a little better. But at least today, we can provide answers to the families as far as what happened to their loved ones and the person who was responsible, end quote, Detective Scott said on Tuesday. And officials believe that Fernandes may be responsible for other murders in the United States.
Wild. Well, I was thinking that too. Like, really, like, I don't know, just how that all went. Was it really only 3 women they found?
Was it really only 3?
I feel
they
like
don't think so. But they weren't naming names of who they think might be his victims at this point in time. But they have his DNA now. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So
wow.
I'm sure there's somebody who's just working in a lab on cold cases that can just be like,
running them through.
Are you a match? Are you a match?
Were you found in a suitcase?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or a duffel bag. And see, it's crazy because like he left fingerprints, but he was like, there's a suitcase. And like, so I'm thinking cloth suitcase, like that's not easy to leave a full fingerprint behind on. A duffel bag, again, not easy to leave a full fingerprint behind on. And I mean, floating in a bay, I guess that's almost impossible. So
exactly.
So it's really lucky actually that they were able to get the fingerprints and match them to him. So
yeah, 100%. I also, when you were saying that they got the fingerprints after his wife died, I was like, why is that a thing? Is that like a standard procedure that I don't know about? Like everybody gets fingerprint when like somebody close to you
dies, you get fingerprint.
I was like,
no, because
I was going to ask about it, and then you immediately answered my question. I'm like, okay, well, obviously, Tara, like he must have been a suspect or something, because why else?
I mean, I did stutter over that sentence, so it's all good.
It's all good. And I don't know.
Yeah, so that's fun.
Yeah, it's really morbid, but I always find cases where they hide and dispose of body parts like in suitcases and duffel bags. I always find it very interesting for some reason, and I don't know why.
I mean, that was our very first episode.
I know, but I feel like it like goes back further than that. It's just something that I've always found fascinating. And yeah, I don't really have an explanation.
I mean, the whole
for
process of getting the human in the suitcase is like,
yes, it's a process.
You have to wrap your head around it, right?
Right. And then you just walk out of your house like, I'm going on a trip.
I'm going to Mexico.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
But don't mind me as I just like drop this on the side of the road.
Don't mind my leaky bag.
Pieces.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. But yeah, that's a cool case.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I have a pretty crazy story here too. Are you ready?
I am so ready.
Okay. My article title today is Texas teen cleared of murdering sleeping woman last year is now accused of setting a couple on fire.
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
It's a lot. It is.
Wow.
So much. My article is from people.com, written by Kyler Elverd. So imagine you're at home with your spouse at 10 p.m. on a Friday night. Just another normal night. That is until a teenage girl enters your house, pours an unknown liquid on you both, and lights you on fire.
Teenage girl?
Yes.
That's rare.
I know.
Girls are never arsonists.
It's very interesting.
Ooh. Okay,
So,
I'm very intrigued.
Right? So it sounds like an absolutely bizarre and fabricated story, but it happened to an unfortunate Texas couple on August 6th. Devin Graham, 33, and Carissa Lindros, 26, were airlifted to an area hospital after escaping from the burning home. Graham later died of his injuries. Lindros remained in the hospital in critical condition, suffering burns on more than 70% of her body and undergoing numerous surgeries. Graham left behind 3 children, 2 of which he had with his wife, Lindros.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know.
I apologize. My dog is barking in the background if you can hear that. So.
Rocky wants to be part of the show.
Well, I think he's chasing coyotes away, so he's doing his job. I can't even get mad at him. So.
That is his job. Good job, Rocky.
Yes. So if you hear barking, I'm sorry.
Before his death, Graham allegedly told police that a female had entered the residence, poured an unknown substance on him, and lit him on fire. Witnesses also reported seeing a white 4-door sedan fleeing the scene and said the suspect was a white female under the age of 30. Further investigation into the information authorities gathered led them to believe that 19-year-old Emma Pressler is responsible for the attack. And what really grabbed my attention right away with the story was the picture of Emma. She honestly looks like a pretty, blonde, innocent, like 12-year-old girl. Like she looks super young.
What?
So how could she be responsible for such a horrific attack? The motive remains unknown, but this would not be the first time Pressler has been in trouble with the law. According to Heavy.com, she was arrested on July 11th, 2019 on charges of possession of a controlled substance and evading arrest. Later, she was wanted for failure to appear on the possession of a controlled substance charge. In March 2020, she pleaded guilty of theft of property after breaking into a detention officer's car and stealing his debit card. Pressler was also wanted in Harris County on a felony methamphetamine possession charge, and worst yet, this will be the second time within the last year that she has been charged with murder.
I just can't. What?
I know. It's crazy.
Okay.
So in September 2020, Pressler was apprehended after authorities found her in a vehicle linked to the drive-by murder of a sleeping 20-year-old woman with cerebral palsy and muscular dystrophy. Pressler was initially accused of being the gunman's getaway driver, but a judge determined that while the evidence was suspicious, it was not strong enough to connect her to the shooting. The murder charges were dropped and she was released from custody. 4 men, including Pressler's boyfriend, were arrested for the murder of Sierra Rod in October 2020. Some of the victims' family believed that their target was actually Rod's 15-year-old brother, as he had apparently been feuding with some people involved in a gang.
Wow.
Fast forward back to present time, Pressler was apprehended for the murder of Devin Graham on August 26th. As mentioned previously, the motive is unknown, or at least has not been disclosed, although relatives told ABC 13 that Pressler knew the surviving victim, Carissa Lindros. Carissa is still fighting for her life, and a GoFundMe has been set up to raise money for her medical expenses and her family. And I can't find any information about whether or not the children were home during the fire, but I think it's safe to say that they were not harmed in the incident, though I can't even imagine the emotional trauma that this would cause to those poor tiny humans.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
No. And I have so many questions. Like,
I know.
girl, what happened to you to make you into such a little psychopath?
Right? To walk into somebody's house, like they just thought originally that it was just like arson of the home. Like somebody lit their house on fire and they got caught up in it, and one person died and one was injured. But the man said she walked in and poured gasoline on them and lit them on fire. So
like, I need to know why.
I do too. I absolutely need to know why.
Oh, that's frustrating. Like,
and
what the hell?
That poor couple. And they look like such a sweet, like they look like people that I would be friends with, like just normal everyday people.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did this happen? Like, I don't know. I need to know the full story.
I guess it's another reason to lock your friggin' doors, but
no kidding. But like, just add that to another like paranoia that I never had before. But you know,
I'm always gonna walk in and light me on fire.
You know, because I have all these fears about like people breaking into my house and all that kind of stuff. This is something I'm not prepared for.
No.
So thanks.
Sleep with a fire extinguisher beside your bed,
right?
Like, what do you do?
Exactly. It's like now this occupies part of my mind. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow, that is a lot. And the poor woman that got murdered.
Oh no. Yeah, she was disabled. She was just in her bed sleeping that night, and these people opened fired on their house. It sounds like they had like 4 different types of guns. Like they had rifles, shotguns, and handguns, I believe is what it said. And they just opened fired on this family's home. And unfortunately, she was in the path of some of those bullets. So
I hate that.
Heartbreaking. Like she did absolutely nothing at all to deserve that. So it sucks.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So bizarre article because I brought us way down.
Sure. I've got a good one. Yeah.
Good.
All right. The title of my article is Wisconsin Cow Spotted Going Through McDonald's Drive-Thru.
Nice.
And then a little like underneath the title, it says, the cow was in the back seat of a Buick sedan.
Oh. Not what I had pictured in my mind.
I know. So this is from HuffPost.com. And so this was in Marshfield, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So spotted in a car at McDonald's drive-thru in Wisconsin, a cow, all of it. Jessica Nelson of Mossany pulled into the drive-thru at a McDonald's in Marshfield on Thursday and said she looked up to see a cow in the back seat of a Buick sedan, 3 cars ahead of her. Quote, I thought it was fake at first. Who puts a cow in a Buick?
Great question.
Then its whole head moved. End quote. She quickly picked up her phone and shot a video of the bovine. I just took the video of it because I was blown away. There was a cow in the back of a Buick, she said. She posted the video on her Facebook page with the caption, a whole freaking cow. Tell me you live in Wisconsin without telling me you live in Wisconsin. She also pasted a message on the video itself that read, that's a whole fucking cow in the back of that car.
I love it.
By Friday afternoon, the video had gotten like 112,000 views. Of course, because it's a cow in a car. It's hilarious. Nelson said the family of the cow's owner saw the post and contacted her. They said that the cow was actually a calf. So
okay, that answers my first question.
Because like, how'd you get it in there?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
She said the owner had just purchased it and 2 other calves, which were also in the back seat.
What?
But they were lying down out of sight at an auction. Okay, a Buick is not that big. Like a Buick sedan, it's not that big.
Mm-mm.
And even if they're like itty bitty baby cows, that's a lot of cow in the back seat of your car.
I would go as far to say too much cow in the backseat of your car.
And like, okay, it's a sedan. It's probably got like, I'm hoping it's got leather seats because they're easier to clean.
Oh God.
But,
Could you imagine if they were cloth?
oh, and like there's cloth, like cloth floor. Like, oh my God. Unless this whole back seat is tarped, there's going to be cow shit literally everywhere. Everywhere.
I hope there's no scours, just saying.
Right? I mean, I think like a little stress diarrhea from those poor little calves.
Being in the auction mart and then being put into a sedan, that could definitely happen.
I'm like, how did you get them in the sedan? I just like...
Oh, I would have loved to just watch that process.
And I mean, okay, so my mother-in-law and I, years ago, Des and I weren't married yet, but my mother-in-law's like, I'm going to go pick up a donkey. You want to come with me? And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah. Sounds fun. Like, why not? And we go to get in her truck and it's not hooked up to the trailer. And I was like, are we not taking that? And she's like, nope, I think we'll just put him in the back seat. So like, I can kind of relate. I can.
So you've kind of been in a similar situation.
But actually, I think it would be easier to get the calves into the sedan rather than the donkey into the back of the truck. Because donkeys don't do what you want them to do.
Surprise.
Donkeys do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and it wasn't a full-size donkey. It was a mini donkey.
I assumed that.
We did actually get him in there. And Des is at home with his dad, and we like pull up and we're like, there's a donkey with its head sticking out the back window of the truck, which still makes me laugh to this day. It was my first real adventure with my mother-in-law.
Nice.
Des and I, like I said, Des and I weren't married yet. We were just still dating, but I was like, I must make a good impression. Yes, I will go.
Yes, of course I'll put a donkey in your back seat.
Donkey in your car.
Whatever you need. That's not weird at all.
It's not weird. And I can promise you that the donkey definitely shat in the cup holder.
In the cup holder.
Yeah. And in like the handle of the door. Yeah. It was,
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It was a good time. So I can relate a little bit, but I still don't understand the 3 in the sedan. And if you only have a sedan, what are you doing with the calves?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, working at the vet clinic, I should specify. I have seen calves in back seats as well, but not 3. 3 is that's a lot. No,
and it's usually a truck, right?
It is usually a truck. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
An old beat up farm truck, and it's like, well, that makes sense.
And if they shit in it, they shit in it. But like,
that's your going to town grocery everyday car.
Sure, let's put 3 calves in there. Sure. Sounds good.
Yeah. And then to top it off, go through McDonald's and get a nice beefy burger. Like, that's a little morbid.
Can I get 3 Big Macs?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that made me giggle. So I was like, well, it's not really crime related, but it's fucking weird. So
we don't have rules here. Bizarre article.
Yeah. And I have actually one more like bizarre thing. It's like,
okay.
And I don't know if you've heard this, but so we all know about the one virus that's taken over the world. You know the one. It starts with a co and ends in a vid, right?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Right? But have you heard about the other problem that's running rampant in Alberta?
No, I don't think so.
You haven't heard this. Okay. Syphilis.
Oh, great. Wait.
Seriously. Alberta is in like some sort of crazy Sif outbreak. AHS officials say that there has not been this high rates of syphilis since 1948, before the treatment for the Sif even had been figured out.
What's going on, guys?
So
what are we doing?
And Sif, like I've learned through my reading here that I promise it's not from personal experience. It's just from reading the article. Was that syphilis is treated by penicillin? Like it's
so like one of the most basic,
easiest,
drugs,
antibiotics treatments. Yeah,
excellent. Yeah,
first line defense.
Right.
So officials are attributing the outbreak to hookup apps such as Tinder and people not using protection with unknown partners.
Well, yeah, that's how that would happen.
So here's my little reminder to you, because nobody wants the green wiener.
Oh.
And it's like 2021, people. Like, don't be gross. Like, do better and just wear a freaking condom. Like,
I love that.
Syphilis rates higher than 1948. Come on, people.
During a pandemic where we're supposed to be socially distanced.
Socially distancing.
The irony.
I know. I was like, oh, this is just it's too much. Like,
what's happening, guys?
I guess people are really liking to swipe right or left. I don't know. What is it? I'm not on Tinder. I can't tell you. I think it's right.
I think it's right. I don't actually know. I'm so glad I don't know, because
me too.
If I had to go that route to find somebody, I would have given up a long time ago. Just saying, I would.
Oh yeah, I would be like
to be by myself,
like single old hag that lives in the forest, like 100%. All by myself.
I am so okay with that. Like, honestly,
swamp witch vibes over here. 100%. Like
that's the look that I'm going for.
No, thank you. I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
Kudos to you people that are out there dating in this crazy world. But yeah.
Sounds tough. I feel bad for you, to be honest. Yeah, especially when there's this kind of outbreak going wild in our province. So that sucks.
It's like nobody's talking about the syphilis outbreak in Alberta, so I'm going to do it.
Provincial-wide pandemic.
And yeah, it's like a thing.
That's crazy. And the highest number since from before there was treatment for it. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. Is it because, like, I feel like with COVID, other parts of our healthcare system have been like not as great because everybody's so focused on COVID. So like people aren't going to get treatment now, whereas they would have before. I don't know.
But this started in 2019, so okay. I don't think so.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to help the people out. And
like 2019, there was like announcements made and they're like, hey, like syphilis is a thing, like settle down, folks. And then 2020, the numbers like doubled again. And then like now they're like out of control.
Out of control. Interesting. So it's that traveling salesperson that we talked about in the last episode.
Yes. They're just like running rampant.
He came over from those watch factories and settled in Alberta, and he's having a time.
Right?
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just please go listen to Chernobyl, or else I just sound like a crazy person.
No, like, I totally know what you're talking about.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's my fun little extra that I threw in there for you.
Thanks for that little health corner.
And, I'm just trying to keep people safe.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Do better.
Don't be gross, right? Just come on.
Don't be gross and do better. That's all we can do in this day and age.
Absolutely. So let us know what you think about the episode. And if you see a story we should cover, make sure to send it in. Sorry, my dog's barking again. You can email us at murderedmerlot@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram at Murder Merlot Podcast, Facebook at Murder Merlot Podcast, and Twitter at Murder and Merlot 1.
You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and pretty much anywhere else you can find podcasts. We would love if you subscribed, and if you don't, you're dead to me.
And remember to drink wine,
because it's not good to keep things bottled up. Bye!